Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a topic that's really heating up all over the world, these rising geopolitical tensions. We're going to look at the key pieces on a global chessboard that, honestly, seems to be redrawing itself right in front of our eyes.
And that brings us to the big question, the one that's going to guide us through all of this. Are we just looking at a bunch of random news stories? You know, a crisis here, a conflict there, with no real connection? Or are they all symptoms of something much bigger? A sign that the world itself is starting to fracture. Let's dig in.
All right, let's kick things off in Latin America because something pretty major is going down. We're seeing several key nations coming together, creating this unified front, and really pushing back against pressure from the United States.
So what exactly lit the fuse here? Well, it was the US offering a $50 million reward for information that could lead to the arrest of a sitting head of state, Nicolás Maduro. Yeah, as you can probably imagine, a move like that did not go over well.
And the reaction was immediate and strong. I mean, just listen to this from Colombia's president, Gustavo Petro. He's not just saying an intervention is bad for Venezuela. No, he's framing it as an aggression against Latin America as a whole. That's not just diplomatic talk. That's a powerful statement about regional unity. And it wasn't a one-off. Over in Mexico, President Claudia Sheinbaum basically pulled the rug out from under the U.S. justification, saying they have no proof of the criminal ties Washington is alleging. That's a huge deal, especially coming from a country so closely tied to the U.S. economy. So you see, the really crucial thing here is to look at the whole picture. This isn't just one country speaking out. You've got Venezuela, of course, but also Colombia, Mexico, and Brazil all lining up to challenge this. What we're actually witnessing is the creation of what you could call an axis of rejection, and it signals a serious shift in the power dynamics of the region. Okay, but these tensions aren't just happening at the diplomatic level. Let's zoom out now, because this instability is echoing in other places, turning local crises into a much bigger, much more complicated global picture.
For instance, just take a look at what's happening inside Ecuador. While the big powers play chess, the situation on the ground here is absolutely tragic. An attack in Guayas leaves 8 people dead. And then, in a heartbreaking turn, 12 infants die in a hospital. It's a brutal reminder of what happens when a state is stretched to its breaking point.
Now, let's jump across the Atlantic to Europe. In London, you see this number, 532. That's not just a statistic. That's 532 people arrested for protesting a government ban on an activist group called Palestine Action. It just goes to show how a conflict thousands of miles away can have a direct and pretty forceful impact right on the streets of a European capital. And sticking with Europe, check out this data from Germany. It's fascinating. While some governments are taking a really hard line, public opinion is telling a different story. More than half the German population, 54%, actually supports recognizing a Palestinian state. This shows you a really interesting split, right? A real gap between the people and the politics.
And we absolutely can't talk about global instability without looking at parts of Africa. These stories might not always dominate the headlines, but the human cost is staggering. In the DRC, you've got reports of 90 civilians killed in new massacres. In Sudan, 16 dead in a single attack. These are severe, ongoing crises that are a vital piece of this global puzzle.
All right, now we need to turn our focus to what is, frankly, the most volatile and explosive flashpoint on the planet right now, Gaza. It really is the epicenter where all the things we've been talking about, the military action, the diplomatic deadlocks, the human suffering, all converge in the most intense way imaginable. Let's just walk through some of the recent events to see how quickly things are escalating. An Israeli strike kills 4 journalists, showing just how dangerous it is to even report from there. Meanwhile, there's talk of a new military offensive, and on top of that, a declaration that troops will stay in the West Bank through the end of the year. You put it all together, and the direction is clear. It's all pointing toward more conflict. So, from the Palestinian side, what's the reaction? It's a full-throated condemnation. The Palestinian Authority is pushing back hard against any language that, as they see it, denies their fundamental right to even exist as a state. This is them defending their very core political goal. And then, you see the other side of the coin, and the contrast is just jarring. A key minister in the Israeli government, Itamar Ben-Gvir, is calling for the exact opposite.
immediate measures to dismantle the Palestinian Authority. I mean, when one side is demanding statehood and a powerful voice on the other side is demanding it be taken apart, where do you even begin to find a path to a peaceful solution?
So, as we wrap up here, it's time to pull back and put all of these different pieces together. What we've really tried to do in this explainer is connect those dots to see how we get from a headline here and a crisis there to a full picture of this new, very turbulent global game board.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, a clear pattern has started to emerge. We saw the unified defiance in Latin America, we saw the widespread instability bubbling up everywhere from Ecuador to London, and we've seen the positions in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict harden to a breaking point. And that's the real insight. None of this is happening in a vacuum. These are all connected threads in a bigger, global pattern of friction.
And that leaves us with one final and frankly enormous question hanging over everything. When you have this much tension, when old alliances are fraying and the world order seems to be fracturing, who gets to write the new rules of the game? Whatever the answer is, it's going to shape the world we all live in for decades to come. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.